As soon as I get this layout. Okay. You can hear me, right? Hey, all right, there we are. Still getting to it. So today we are going to be talking about the Subway Series, which the Mets have been not doing good at all. It's supposed to be this amazing team, and they're just not doing what we all thought that they would be doing. Um, Cohen has spent a lot of money trying to make, basically what the New York Yankees have been and is at this time, and it is just coming to a halt right now. They're trying to bring people up. They're trying to bring up Alvarez, Navarro. Like they're trying to bring up a lot of different people. And people from last year, the trades that the Mets have made are just not working out. Vogelbach is not um, panning out the way we thought he would. He was a great hitter last year. Towards the end of the season, mainly against either righties or lefties, depending on the pitching situation. And um, this year he's just fallen off a cliff, and the look of the Mets right now is not good. They lost against the Athletics. They've got swept by the Toronto Blue Jays, which Toronto Blue Jays actually are not a bad team, but Pirates just kind of took them for a ride, losing 14-2 in one of the games, and then they just can't get out of their own way right now. Lindor has been in a major struggle hitting, so I figured it'd be a perfect time to bring on somebody who is a great baseball fan, actually hockey fan, football fan, basketball fan. Yeah, he probably likes curling as well, for all I know. I don't know. Um, but let's bring him into here. Bubbs.
How's it going? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man. How you feeling today, bud?
Doing pretty good. Excited to talk some baseball.
Cool. Um, as you can see, the Mets are not living up to the potential of the paycheck.
Yep.
Um, and it's almost like the Yankees are not doing well, right? But I mean,
Mhm.
still 9 games over 500. But to Yankees fans, what is that, right? Like that's nonsense, right?
Yeah. It's not where you want to be.
No,
Um,
no.
but yeah, I mean, obviously it's been kind of it's been an interesting year to be a New York baseball fan. You've had a lot of ups and downs, a lot of inconsistency, and I think both records show that. Most recently here with the Mets, where they've obviously dropped 8 of their last 10, just snapped the 7-game losing streak the other day in Game 2, the 3-game set against the Pirates. But all in all, it was a really bad road trip for them. To blow the 3 games in Atlanta, all 3 of the games in which they had 3-run leads. To blow those 3 games the way they did, to then go into Pittsburgh on Friday night and get walloped. They were able to bounce back on Saturday, but then, lost again on Sunday and had a couple opportunities where they could have drove some runs in, and they couldn't. I think they ended up with only like 3 hits against Mitch Keller, who's not bad, but he's not ace. He's not dominant. He's a solid middle of the line kind of rotation guy. But yeah, I mean, the Mets, they're the highest payroll in baseball, and they're playing like flat out garbage. I mean, that's just the basic way to put it. I mean, they're 9.5 games back in the National League East. This time last year, they had full control of the NL East. To now be 9.5 games back, the only team worse than them is the Washington Nationals, who are rebuilding. And you've got a team like the Miami Marlins who are in front of you, where their entire team combined doesn't even quite match up to the contracts of Francisco Lindor and the money you're giving Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander. So it's ugly. And, they've tried a lot, as you mentioned to open the show. They've tried a lot with calling up prospects, bringing up Beatty, bringing up Vientos, bringing up Alvarez. To a certain extent, it's helped, but a lot of it's just been inconsistency. One night the pitching's successful and the hitting can't come through. The next night, the hitting comes through and the pitching can't. The Braves series was a perfect example of that. They put up 10 runs in the third game of that series and they allowed 13. Then the final game of the Pirates series, they score 1 and they only allow 2. Like, if they could have scored more runs there, they obviously they would have won the game, but that's a night where their offense was off and their pitching was on. So it's been ugly. And there's a lot of concerns with this team. The one thing you can say about the Yankees is they're getting guys healthier back soon, hopefully. With the Mets, it's not really they're getting guys healthier. This is just their team. This is what they're at. So you've got to hope Verlander plays better. You've got to hope Scherzer pitch better. Those two guys, I think, are two of the bigger concerns, because those are your two top rotation guys, and they haven't been anywhere close to what anybody expected them or hoped they would be going into this year with where their contracts are at. So it's ugly, and they've got to turn this thing around, because I know when you look at the schedule and you say, oh, you've got 100 plus games, you've still got however many games you got left. What are they, 67 games in? So a little less than 100 games left. You still 66, 67 games, whatever it is. You've still got a lot of baseball left to be played. You're only in June, but when you look at it right now, it's not looking good. You're 9.5 back in the division. You could probably count the division out by now, and you're 3 games back of the wild card. I mean, you're tied in the wild card race with the Cincinnati Reds. That's all you should know right now about where the Mets are hot. And when you look at the National League, you expect teams like the Phillies, who are hot right now, they're only going to get better. You expect teams like the Padres, they have too much talent to be this bad. They're getting better. They're 6-4 in the last 10. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be tough, but it's not looking good right now for the Mets for sure.
Yeah. Also, it's kind of weird. Like, now you got Alonso out, right? Alonso came back negative, it says, but at the same point, like, where does it stop, right? Like, you're already struggling, right? You want to see what these other kids have, so you're moving Alvarez up the lineup, which is great, which is awesome. But then you're not letting Vientos hit, right? Like he came in strong, hot, and as soon as he got a hold of it, he hit a home run, and then all of a sudden it's kind of like, I don't understand what I don't want to question Buck Showalter, right? Like, who wants to question Buck? But at the same point, let him hit. Like, if he's hot, don't have him ride the bench here. Like, again, we'll go back to what you said before. Scherzer getting paid a lot of money, and I think you're starting to see that age come in now. The age of what it is and what's going to happen after this Verlander and Scherzer, because they're both gone, I believe, after 2 years. And you better have somebody besides Tyler McGill in there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's the rotation's interesting, and especially Senga too. But I mean, you nail it right on the head. Verlander and Scherzer are both making $43 million a year, and they've provided. Scherzer's ERA is upper 3s, and Verlander's ERA is just north of 5. When you're giving a guy $43 million a year who came off of a season in which he had an ERA below 2 last year and won the Cy Young, you're paying him $43 million not to be a 4.85 ERA guy. You're paying him to be a mid to low 2 ERA, maybe into the 1s, and he's not been anywhere close to that. But the Buck Showalter, the roster, or not the roster, but the batting lineup construction, definitely there are some questions there. They've all kind of sparked at times, definitely out of the young guys. I'm talking about Alvarez has definitely been the most successful. He's got an OPS over 800. He's gotten definitely the most consistent playing time. Even him at times, you could question maybe being out there a little bit more. Obviously, they moved him up in the lineup, and they're trying different different things like that. But the kids can only do so much at the end of the day. The veterans also have to step up too. Like, you can call it Mauricio, which they might do. I saw something yesterday that they might be calling Mauricio up. I don't know how true it is. We'll see, I guess, tomorrow once the lineup and everything like that comes out. But at the end of the day, you like Marte's got to be better. Lindor's got to be better. Cannon, all these guys, they've got to be better. And Marte has started to turn the corner a little bit. His season numbers as a whole are ugly, but the last couple weeks, you can start to see the numbers take a little bit of a positive turn. His batting average, which was for a while there in the 220s, 230s, has now gotten up just a tick below 260. So he's starting to get back to the player he was last year. The OPS is still low. You hope to see that, climb up a little bit here if he can continue to play a little bit better here through the month of June. But Vientos, he hasn't, again, he's only had 15 games, he had 42 at bats. He hasn't been, he's batting 167. He hasn't been great. If you give him more consistent ABs, what happens? I think that's another thing too that Buck's trying to, I guess, balance is you're in the middle of a playoff race. Like, you don't want to just throw the young guys out there and have them go through growing pains, have them fail, and then lose games because of that. But you also don't want to roll out this same old, boring veteran lineup that hasn't done a lot. You're trying to mix it up, in many different ways. So it's just a tough spot to be in. A lot of it, a lot of the blame, as you mentioned, the front office, they put this thing together. There is blame to go around for Buck. I mean, I think his use of Vogelback is disgusting on so many levels. I don't know why he's in the lineup, and I'm not even a Met fan, but that I would be so frustrated. That's almost like Aaron Boone putting Aaron Hicks in the lineup every single day back when he was with the Yankees. It was like, it made you want to pull your hair out because it was so frustrating why he was in the lineup every single day when he wasn't producing. He's not horrible off the bench, but every day taking at bats away from some of the young guys doesn't make a ton of sense. So it's tough, but again, you look back at, again, Buck Showalter does deserve some blame. And what he said after that Brave series, how he was proud of the team was, horrendous. I don't know why he said it. To get swept in Atlanta, swept the way they did, to then say you're proud of the team doesn't make any sense. But, when you look at Steve Cohen, when you look at Billy Epler, they built this thing. I mean, you look at Steve Cohen's first contract he handed Alex Francisco Lindor. It's not looking great right now. Bad year in year one, was better last year. This year has not put together a very good season. I know he's had some big hits, but, overall, the numbers, he's batting 261. His on base is below 300. That is not good. So, and then again, the Verlander contract it looks really bad to start. Again, he could turn it around. It's only June, but it looks bad. Scherzer was good last year up until the later part of the year, and now going into this season, he hasn't been as good either. So, a lot of the blame is really it goes all around when you have a big struggle like this. I mean, there's so much issues internally and obviously on the field as well. And the bullpen is you're throwing out AAA arms out there every day. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. It's bad, and you can blame the Edwin Diaz injury all you want, but one guy he can make a big difference. But even if Diaz was healthy, there's still a lot of issues with that bullpen too. So.
Yeah, like going back to Vogelbach, like it's the guy's not hitting. When he went into Colorado, they were getting rocked around too, and it's like that should be the easiest thing for Nimmo. Nimmo's always hit a home run in Colorado, right? Like and you got 3 games to do it. Not only did he not hit a home run, he was struggling to get on base. Right. Like, and this is the guy that takes pitches, that is very carefully looking at pitches to make sure that he can get on base because he's a great runner. Right. But then you have Vogelbach that's sitting there, and he was actually matching up with great pitchers because he is that left-handed hitter, and he does go good against these certain pitchers. And when they're coming in, he's striking out. He's swinging high. He's reaching to where his body should not be reaching. Like, he looks at balls so well usually, and now it's just kind of like carefree swinging. We're not going to take our time. And it seems like it's just going down the lineup now. Lindor was doing the same thing. He's swinging on one knee, and it's like, what are we doing right now? And it's like we wanted to. I hate saying Mets fans are never going to want to hear this, but until we found out what it was like to have a rich owner, we would have ragged on the Yankees. Oh, you buy players, you buy players, you
Mhm.
buy players, right? But we know how it feels now. Be like, oh, we can actually get these players.
Yeah.
We don't have to get them through our farm system.
Mhm.
Like, wow. So with that, I want to segue over to the Yankees, and with the dynasty that they are, um, let's start off with Judge's injury. What is that looking like? Does it have a timetable? Does it? I mean, what's the significance of it?
Yeah, Boone said yesterday, I believe it was, before the game against the Red Sox. He said, that the swelling has gone down in the toe. He's progressing, he's getting better. They'll have more of a timeline within the next couple days. The Yankees are, especially Aaron Boone, is not a guy that tends to love giving out news information about injuries. He tends to keep it on the low. A lot of times, they play injuries down. They say it's not as bad, and then it turns out to be really bad. And we saw that this year with Rodon. They said that he could be back in the middle of April, and he's hasn't even got on a rehab assignment yet. He's going to soon, but a big difference from being back in mid-April to mid late June, early July. So, we'll see. Hopefully he's back soon, and I hope it doesn't require a rehab assignment. It's just unfortunate because it was a great play. Broke the wall in right field at Dodger Stadium. Took a double away from JD Martinez, took runs away from the Dodgers as well, took away a big inning, really. You're looking at, if he doesn't make that play, I believe it probably would have been second and third, nobody out, or runner on second, no out, and a run scored or something like that. It would have been interesting. So, Judge is this team. Like, without Judge, the Yankees aren't much, and there is blame to go around with that. While this roster is currently constructed with some of the pieces that we have, I mean, I think you look back at this offseason, I think a lot of Yankee fans would have liked some other moves that could have been made, that still haven't been made. And you still look at holes in this roster that we've had now for a couple years, left field being one of them. And it's still a team that strikes out a lot and at times relies too much on the home run ball. So really, without Judge, this team they're not very good. Like, without Aaron Judge, this team isn't good. They're an average baseball team at best without Aaron Judge. They're only averaging like 3.3 runs per game without him, which is in the bottom of the league when you look at that category of stats. They're hitting 232 as a team, which isn't pretty either. So, hopefully he's back soon. He's got to come back soon. As much as I think, again, the Mets have taken over the town in terms of the media pressure and the fans calling up on all the radio shows and being disappointed. The Yankees, even though they're 9 games up on 500, they're only a half game up in the wild card right now. And it's them, Houston, Toronto, who are all fighting for those final 2 wild card spots. So, not saying that they're not going to make the playoffs, but I think, we kind of look at the Yankee season so far. Even me as a Yankee fan, I sometimes look at it and say, man, this year's been a successful season so far. But when you look at it and when you look at where they are in the standings, number one, you need Judge back immediately. And I also feel that, they're not that comfortable in the playoffs right now as I think many of us would like.
Yeah, I mean, like last year, you guys kind of got in there, but then it was
Yep.
just almost like, well, what's happening right now? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It wasn't that. It's not that strong, confident team that you want going in, right? Like, it
Yep.
was they made it there, and it's like, even me looking from the outside, like, just as a baseball fan, like, if my friends hate it when I say this. Look, the Yankees are
Mm-hmm.
my second team. It's New York. If they make it to the playoffs, I want them to go far. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're playing my team, I basically fuck off. Okay. Like,
Yeah.
like, it's one of those. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Maybe there's something that they need to step it up a notch, right? Like, they need to, it's almost like the best way to compare it, it's like the AFC of the NFL. Like, they're loaded. They're
Mm-hmm.
loaded. The AL is loaded right now. And
Yep.
it's just, especially your division, dude. Like, what is
Yep.
going on over there? You got the Orioles that are coming out of nowhere. You got the Rays that started off like, where they start off like 30-9 or something weird like that.
Yeah, it was something crazy. The Rays have not they barely lose this year. I mean, they're 48-20 now. The AL East is, I mean, insane. And it's crazy because when you match up the AL East and the AL Central, they perfectly make like a entire division because it's 48-20 Rays, and it's the 41-24 Orioles, the 38-29 Yankees, 37-30 Blue Jays, 33-33 Red Sox, and in the top of the AL Central is the Twins, who are 33-33. And you move down, and all their records get worse. So it's basically like a 10-team division when you look at the AL East and the AL Central, the way all the records line up. Like, it's basically the Rays are the best, and the Royals would be the worst. You throw any of the team, I mean, you throw the Red Sox, who are last in the AL East, you throw them in the AL Central, they're tied for first place right now. It's stacked, it's loaded. And I mean, you're looking at it and you're probably saying there's a chance. I mean, it's probably not likely, but there's a chance 4 AL East teams get into the postseason. Again, when you look at the wild card right now, it's the Orioles, the Yankees, and then obviously the Rays have the division. If somehow the Blue Jays jump the Astros and the Astros don't make the postseason, which isn't going to happen, there would be 4 AL East teams in there. So it's dominant. I guess it's exciting because every game in the division means that much more. Obviously, with the new schedule change, you don't play your division as much, a lot less now. So you have less opportunities to, beat those teams and gain some ground in division, but it makes it very competitive. I mean, it makes any game that, count that much more. I mean, the Yankees just a couple weeks ago got within, I believe it was about like 5.5 or something like that before they played the Orioles. They got within like 5 games of the Rays, and they, the Orioles rather were like 3 games. The Yankees obviously ended up losing that series, and now you look at the Yankees and they're 9.5 games back. So it's just crazy to kind of see how any little slump can really take you out of it. I mean, the Yankees aren't going to win the division. I would love them to, but I don't. It's going to take a lot for them to come back from this. I mean, it'd have to take an extended 9-10 game win streak in the race to kind of get slow down a little bit. They would have to go on an extended, not losing streak. They wouldn't have to lose like 8 straight, but they would have to play around 500 baseball, and the Yankees would have to play, like 700 baseball in order for them to get on up to where Tampa is. But that's why you look at the wild card, and you need Judge back soon because you got to get more protection in the wild card. I mean, we're 4-6 in our last 10, which isn't obviously where you want to be.
Yeah, talking with Bubbs on Sports, joining us live. Yeah, I mean the Yankees have expectations. It's the New York Yankees, right? It's not like any other team. It's like, no, we win. And when Yankees fans find out that people or that the team doesn't make it past a certain point in the playoffs, they expect the World Series. It's a very, very hard team to root for. There was a study, actually, you would like this. There was a study years ago that Yankee fans have more stress than Mets fans because the expectation is so high already for the Yankee fans that the Mets already expected to lose, that it's just like, oh, okay, whatever, right? But when the Yankees are, struggling or something, they said the anxiety goes up, and like they actually freak out more because the bar is so high. It's been 27, 28 championships, right?
Yep. Yeah, 27. Hopefully 28 at the end of this year. But yeah, I mean, it goes the same too with athletes that come here. I mean, the level of pressure and stress and just more, the level of just attention in New York is so much larger. Like, being a Royals fan, just throwing them out there, because we've talked about the AL Central a little bit. Like, being a Royals fan is probably not very stressful. I mean, playing for the Royals. I mean, you see Chapman this year, who struggled with the Yankees towards the end of his career, goes to the Royals this season, and has been really good. He'll be a pickup at the trade deadline for a contending team, because obviously the Royals are way out of it with the second worst record in baseball, only behind the A's, who surprisingly are winning right now, but all in all they've been really bad. But it's a lot. And I think Volpe right now is kind of learning the hard way in terms of the pressure of New York. He's struggling. The media is not starting to get him. The media has been on him a lot. I mean, the media was on him from the start of his career now, and he has not done anything. He's struggled a lot, really badly. His performances overall have been bad. I mean, he's been okay in the field, but his hitting has not been good, and he's got to turn that around. So I think he's starting to learn that too now, the pressure of New York. You saw what it did to Joey Gallo. Even Hicks, I think after a while there, I think it got to Hicks's head in terms of the pressure and the fans. And you get up there, you get up to bat, and you're so worried about failing more than you are hoping to succeed in a way. I guess if that's, I think Babe Ruth said if you're afraid to strike out, then don't play the game, or why play the game, or something like that, or some saying like that. But
Yeah.
it's true. I mean, us fans feel it, the pressure because, and if the Yankees don't come through, other fan bases are going to come at you. Other fan bases are going to love it. They call you the evil empire for a reason. So, I mean, yeah. And again, I mean, that's why, we've been in the playoffs basically every year, and most fan bases would take that. I mean, if you're, an Orioles fan, or if you're a team that doesn't usually get to the playoffs or hasn't been to the playoffs right now, you would love to make the playoffs for 5-6 years in a row. Doesn't matter if you win, but you just to be in it, just to have your, just to be in the fight, all that matters. Once you're in, you have a chance. Everyone has a chance. Anything can happen in the postseason, but the expectation's much different here, especially when you've won 27 championships. It's been a really long time since you've won the last one back in 2009. And, it's, Brett Gardner was, him and Ceci, I think it was, were the last ones to play for the Yankees on that 2009 team. So, Judge is, as captain's definitely going to want to get one. Hopefully it's coming. I, just would like to see more consistency, but the pressure is real, especially for the Yankees.
Well, I'm not trying to knock you, but I would like to have one too, Bubbs. Okay,
Yeah.
I would love to see the blue and orange do something as well. I think you guys got enough. Okay, you can you can hold back for a second.
Yeah, definitely. I feel you. I mean, being a Jets fan is rough. So, I mean, it's it's New York to begin with. I mean, you look at New York sports as a whole. There hasn't been much winning here. I mean, the last major sport team, I believe the soccer team that plays in New York won a championship 2 years ago, I think it was. But the last one of the out of the four major sports, the last team to win one was the Giants, and that's going all the way back to the 2012 season, which was Eli winning his second ring and beating the Patriots for the second time. So it's been a while, and you've obviously had some, like the Yankees, again, have been in it. The Mets got to the World Series in 2015. The Jets had some of the performances there earlier in the 2009, 2010 season back to back, making the AFC Championship game and stuff. The Knicks obviously got back into this year. The Nets had some excitement with Katie there for a little bit, but there hasn't been, the Rangers, Devils, Islanders were on it this year, but there hasn't been that one team to get back to the mountaintop in New York sports for a while. It's been a minute, and especially when you look around like other sports leagues or other sports cities, rather, like you look at Denver, Nuggets are one game away from winning the NBA Finals, and last year the Avalanche won the Stanley Cup. So it's like you look at that city, that's a smaller market, and there they've won 2 championships in the last 2 years, and New York has 1 championship in the last 11. We've got to get back to those winning ways, definitely.
Yeah, the only thing that seems to be consistent in New York is the media, right?
Yep.
Like you can't hide from the media. They always have a story about you, whether or not you're on contract or off contract, on the team or off the team, in a restaurant or outside the restaurant.
Yep.
There's a story coming your way.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of, so both New York teams are both off today. So I mean, a good rest for the Yankees and the Mets today, which is, I think, well needed. You know what I mean? They could sit back, relax, kind of, think things through, see what's going on here, and maybe have a reset right now. And I think it's safe to say that they'll probably go with whoever's obviously healthy, but the lineup, their consistent lineup that they like to put out there, that's who's probably going to be on there. But let's see if I know how to do this technology correctly, and see if I can do this, and we'll see if this works out. Probably not. Okay. Let me see what we got here. Can you see that?
One other thing just to add
Yeah,
on
shoot.
quickly. The pitching matchups are, I mean, on paper, they're good. When you look at the numbers this year, they aren't very good. I mean, you got Sevy and Cole going in games 1 and 2, Tuesday and Wednesday. And then for the Mets, you've got Scherzer and Verlander. So, on paper, the history tells us, the Mets got their 2 aces, obviously. Sevy's had a really bad past 2 outings. Scherzer wasn't good against the Braves. Verlander wasn't good against the Braves. Cole was good against the Red Sox, but was awarded his first loss. It wasn't his fault, but so you have some good pitching matchups. Cole wasn't originally supposed to start. So that's the one benefit is you don't have Judge or Alonso in the series, which from a standpoint and from a team standpoint, obviously both teams are missing those two big bats in the lineup, two of the better power hitters in all of baseball. But when you look at the pitching matchups, you've got four pretty big names in terms of Sevy and Cole, and obviously Scherzer and Verlander. And as a Yankee fan, like Sevy's got to get back on track because when he's right, he's one of the better pitchers in baseball. One of the more I shouldn't say better, but he's one of the better pitchers on our rotation. So
yeah, I mean if you look at that now, that's what we're looking at. Coming tomorrow, right? And I think it's going to be a pitcher's duel the next 2 days if they can both put it together. I'm starting to realize that at least on the Mets side, Scherzer's pitching better in hot weather and not so much into cooler weather. He gets a little bit more moisture on the ball, which he can probably get a little bit more movement on there. Obviously, looking at Severino, he's his ERA is kind of high up there, but at any given point, I really do believe that he can make you pay for some mistakes. So,
yeah, definitely. Sevy, he was good his first two outings against the Reds, and he was really good against the Padres. And in the last two outings, he's allowed 6 home runs in the last two outings, 3 of the last 2 starts. And his fastball sitting 96, 97 right down the plate. And the heart of the order for the White Sox and the heart of the order for the Dodgers did serious damage. So I think the one benefit is obviously Alonso's not playing. So if he leaves the fastball right over the middle for Alonso, he can't crush it. But he's got to figure it out because Yankees struggling, both teams struggling to score runs. Well, the Mets are all over the place, but Yankees struggling to score runs without, Judge. You're going to need Sevy, and I trust Cole. You're going to need them to give you at least, 6 innings of 3 or fewer run ball. I mean, you give up 4 or 5 runs. I mean, you're not probably winning. Yeah, it's probably 3 or fewer. And I think, if you let up 4 runs, it's an start. So give me 6 innings, 2 runs. I'd take it from Sevy. And then Cole, you obviously expect a little bit deeper, potentially 7 innings. And hopefully obviously do some damage there as well.
Yeah, I think you guys could probably take, not for nothing, 2 runs from you guys could probably take 2 runs from Scherzer in like the first 2 innings. He either gives up in the first 2 or the last 2. That's usually how it's been going, what he's been doing. And it's been kind of a pain in the butt because he'll still strike out 8 or 9, and he'll look good. He'll strike out, what do you have, 9 in 4 innings the other day. And it's just, his last start, I believe. And it's just like, that's amazing. But then when you get to the end, you're giving up a 2-run homer, a 3-run homer. When do we start pulling guys out correctly? When do we start, making that adjustment in the right timing? And, these guys are, 40 years old. We need to get some younger guys here. And going against the Yankees, you guys are always hitting a lot better than any other team usually. I would say that because it's, you guys are 9 over 500. I know the expectation is not that you guys want to be in first place. You guys are just in a very competitive division, but going against a weak Mets team right now, I think you guys can capitalize on, the lack of play right now from the Mets.
Yeah, definitely. I think if we get to your, the bullpen early for the Mets, which, has not been good this year at all. You saw in that Braves series, not that the starting pitching helped much, but the bullpen too late in games didn't do much either, especially in that Braves game where they had the lead late and an Ozzie Albies with the 3-run homer to win it. So, get to the bullpen, do some damage there. You would like to, have like consistent good at bats. I mean, last night some of the at bats we saw from the Yankees were horrendous. I mean, Volpe looked at 2 good pitches and then fouled one off and then swung at one outside of the zone, which is just, you can't do that. Like, you can't look at 2 pitches down the middle and then swing at a pitch outside of the zone. I don't know what in the world. I don't know what Jose Trevino last night was trying to do. He swung at 4 pitches outside of the zone. He fouled one of them off. I mean, one of them was all the way up here on him, up against, his chest all the way up and in. I don't know how in the world, why he was swinging at it, what he saw, but we've got to work better at bats. Like you can't, you got, again, home runs are great, but you hit 3 hits and one of them is, 2 homers and 3 hits. You're probably not going to win. You gotta do more than that. What you want to see consistent at bats. DJ May, who has not been good this year, hopefully he can try and find a way to break out of it. I mean, he had a 2-hit night the other day, but majority he's been inconsistent and he's looked at a lot of good pitches too. So pitch selection is the biggest thing with this team without Judge is, a lot of times, especially Volpe, you look at the ones right down the middle and then you're swinging at the ones outside of the zone. You just can't do that. So
Yeah, you're in the you're in the big league here. You can't be
yeah,
making small mistakes like that. So what do you think it's score wise possibly first game and second game? I personally think it's going to be a split. I think the Mets win the first one, the Yankees come back win the second one. I think it's going to be like 6-4, 6-5, something like that. And I think the second one, depending on really how Verlander hits or tosses, I think the Mets might lose that game maybe 7-4, 7-3.
yeah, I'd probably agree. I'm gonna go. I'd probably say the Yankees definitely win game 2 with Cole on the mound. And Verlander obviously hasn't shown enough, I think, just as an opposing fan to trust that he'd be able to, shut us down. Not that we got many guys out there, but I do believe we'll be able to get to him. So I'd probably say the Yankees definitely win the second game. I think I'm going to be honest with you. I think all three of the or not three, 2 of the games would probably most likely are going to be probably lower scoring.
Okay.
From the Yankee standpoint, I mean, the Mets, you never really know so far. I mean, they put up 13 runs and then, the next night they put up 2 and they lose 14-2. So, or 10 runs, and then they lose 14-2 the next night. So they've been all over the place, but the Yankees, they're probably going to score 3-4 runs most. So I'd probably say like 4-1 against Verlander in game 2. Game 1, I could see that being a 3-2, 4-3 type game where, it kind of comes down to the bullpens. All I ask is out of Sevy, just give us, even if it's just 5, just give us a bounce back outing. Don't go out there and let up, throw 4 innings, let up 6 runs on 2 homers and, guys just hitting your fastball left and right. And then, you got to go to the bullpen and then the bullpen's not rested. And this is an opportunity here. If Sevy and Cole can give the Yankees length, this is an opportunity where you can really rest the bullpen because you have the day off today, then you have another day off Thursday. You can really give that bullpen some rest and kind of low stress the next couple of days. If Sevy and Cole can give you some length, if they don't, then you're in a position to, obviously having to use them a lot with Sevy. Neither, they're not going to throw 2 9-inning shutouts, but to give you length 6-7 innings over these next 2 days, get only need whatever it is, 12 outs from your bullpen over the next 2 days. I think is something that is realistic to ask for as a Yankee fan. And then you have the day off the next day, and then you obviously head into Boston for another series against the Red Sox. So an opportunity to kind of take some stress off the bullpen.
Yeah, especially those Red Sox games, man. You guys really want to take those. You're talking, and that's a weekend. I mean, look, a weekend in Boston, it's going to be live. It's going to be, it's going to be crazy. So if you're pitching, if Sevy and Cole can definitely rest that bullpen, it is a really good chance that your bullpen could probably beat the Red Sox at that point. And it's coming in on rest is great. You know what I mean? And if your pitcher does what he's got to do, and your bullpen is well rested, your hitters can hit. You know what I mean? They're like, okay, it's almost like the best way that I can describe it is like, okay, they're doing their job, we got to do our job. You know what I mean? Like, we have to do, everybody else is doing their job. The starting pitchers, the bullpen, the mid-lane pitchers, we got to start hitting guys, You need those things, especially on a weekend that's going to be crazy in Boston. It's probably going to be good weather. You're talking about we're in June right now. People are going to be going crazy. Welcome to baseball, right? Like,
yeah. I'm hoping you come out of Boston with at least 2 there. I mean, if you can split the Mets, come out of Boston with at least 2 of 3. You bounce back from where you were at last weekend. And then the rest of June for the Yankees is. Because then it's tough because then you have Seattle after that. You have that Texas series coming up shortly after that later in June, which Texas is on an absolute heater this year. They've been by far, or them and the Diamondbacks have been up there with, the 2 best teams in baseball, which I don't know if everybody saw that coming earlier in the year. I mean, I thought the Rangers would be good. I didn't think they'd be this good. And the Diamondbacks, I didn't see this coming. So you get the Rangers there, then you get the A's later on, then you get the Cardinals. So all in all, like the rest of June for the Yankees after these, next two series, you got some good teams. The Mariners you expect start to turn it around. So, split it, again, it'd be great to take two from the Mets, but if you could split the Mets, take 2 of 3 against Boston overall in the week, if you can go, what is it, 3-2 through 5 games to keep your head above water, get up back to the, 3-2 would be, 1 game improvement. So you get up back over to the 10 games up on 500. If you can do that, I think that's what you want. Just keep your head above water. Don't sink. You go 1-4 this week, then you're starting to sink. You go 3-2, even 4-1. 5-0 stretching it, but you go 3-2, realistic. Get back up to 10 games up on 500 when you come out of the weekend, I think is something you kind of shoot for as a Yankee fan. These next 5 games over these, next couple days where you got some days off. The Yankees have a soft schedule in June in terms of days off because they don't play a game on Monday in June, and you've obviously got the day off again on Thursday. So,
Really,
which is a reason why they haven't had to use. They won't need a 5th starter for a little while. Randy Vasquez has done a very good job filling that role twice this year. We won't need a 5th starter though for a little bit. So if there was a time for, you hope that like Nestor, if there was a time for him to get hurt, it'd be now where you don't really need as deep of a rotation because you've got a pretty light month of June in terms of games coming up. But so we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out.
I'll get one more opinion from you. What do you think about this whole DeGrom bit, man? Like, the guy just, I feel so terrible for him. Obviously him being, part of the team for so long and just like being a dominant player, like a dominant starting pitcher. I loved it, but it's like I feel so bad for him now that he just can't stay on the field. He can't stay healthy.
Yeah, I feel bad for him too. I mean, I'm not even, a Met fan, but I always liked Jacob DeGrom. He was always one of my, favorite non-Yankees. He was so much fun to watch. I mean, the way he just, blew guys away with his fastball up in the zone was just dominant. I mean, he was the best pitcher in baseball from 2018 to, even last year up until, to the end of the year where he started to struggle a little bit. But the biggest thing with him is he can never stay healthy. Like, that was the biggest issue. Unfortunately, it takes a toll on guys as he's gone up in age. I mean, this is a guy that he's made what, 32 starts in the last 3 years. You typically make 32 starts in a single season. He did that going back to 2018 and 2019. Ever since that point, the last 3 years, 15 starts in 2021, 11 starts in 2022. And then obviously this year he's only made 6 starts. And he was good up until this point. Like, he had an ERA of 2.67. It's his second Tommy John. I don't know if he'll be able to come back. A baseball fan inside of you hopes he comes back and can get back to, he's not going to be the 1.08 ERA guy that he was through 15 starts in 2021. And that's another thing too. That's a shame. Like, even that season getting cut off. It's not even just, this is like the cherry on top, but it's all the other injuries along the way for DeGrom that stopped us from seeing greatness. Like, that 2021 season would have gone down as one of the greatest seasons of all time if he would have stayed healthy. You never know how that rest of that season plays out. That season now is kind of just I guess if you want to put it, a fart in the wind, because it's 15 games started, 1.08 ERA. Sure, he was great, but he made less than half the starts pitchers usually make in a full healthy season. So, it's tough. And then, last year again too, he missed the first part of the season. As much as we, a lot of Met fans, and rightfully so, have complained, this is the one thing I will say. Nothing against DeGrom, but as much as Met fans have complained about this front office, the moves they made, Verlander obviously doesn't look great. Good thing you didn't bring back DeGrom, because if you bring back DeGrom now and he's got Tommy John too, you have to remember, I mean, not that, everybody knows this, but he's going to miss all of next season, or he's going to miss the rest of this year, and he's going to miss a good portion of next season. He's going to miss a good chunk of next year. He probably won't be back next year until, July, maybe August, probably. So he'll probably make 8 starts next season, maybe. I mean, who even knows? the whole Tommy John rehab's got to go well too, just for him to get back. So nowadays, so many guys get it, and everybody says, "Oh, some guys have come back from Tommy John pitching better." Well, that's good, but he's going to be 35 in a couple weeks. It's a lot different getting Tommy John in your 20s than getting Tommy John for the second time when you're 35 years old. So it's rough. It's rough. I think, unfortunately, I think this is kind of end of an era. He'll be back. I don't think this is it for him. I don't think he pitched the last pitch he'll throw in the MLB. I do think he'll come back. Does he? I don't think he's going to come back nearly the same pitcher he once was. He'll probably come back. Maybe he'll be a good, solid starter. I mean, maybe mid-3 ERA, but he's not going to be anywhere close to the 2 to the 1 ERA guy that he once was. But I will say this, give a lot of credit to the Rangers. What they did with the rest of the rotation to build around DeGrom, they prepared for an issue like this, and they are perfect. They're fine. Like, they're in a good spot. They, as much as on paper it's a big blow, they've been very good. And Evaldi has turned into just a lethal weapon for them this season, has really turned into that ace of that rotation. So, if you're the Texas Rangers, you got to give that front office credit. Yes, the DeGrom move's not good, but John Gray's been very good. Evaldi's been good. Perez, not quite what he was last year, but he's been solid. John Gray, obviously, is a guy that, last year was all right. They, brought him back, and he's had a very good season, leads the team in ERA. So they're good. They're good where they're at, despite the big loss of DeGrom.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's only a bad deal when something bad happens, right? Like, other than that, it's usually a solid. But all right, I'll ask you for what Yankee is going to hit a home run in the Subway Series? Or should I plural that? What Yankees are going to hit a home run?
I would like to say Stanton, maybe, if he breaks out of it. He'd obviously be like an obvious choice, although he hasn't been good, but he'd be like the obvious choice. But an under the radar choice, I guess Billy McKinney's been hitting the ball well. I mean, even though he just came up, but in 5 games with the Yankees, he's had 5 hits, and he's had 2 doubles and a triple and a homer. So he's had, 4 extra base hits and a single as well. So I believe it's something like that. So he's hit very well so far coming up. I don't know if he'll win in the Subway Series, but potentially him as an underdog. Maybe, Volpe, as much as he's struggled, he's been bad. He has come up a lot this year in big moments. So Subway Series, Citi Field, away, obviously should be big crowds. Always a tough environment for the road team on the Subway. Although, I mean, not quite, because, it's usually 50-50 Yankees and Mets fans, but always a fun environment to be in. So I could potentially see him coming through. Kind of as a big hit, because he's had a couple of those. Maybe Calhoun. Definitely some guys that I could see coming up for the Yankees as, some big hits or big homers.
Yeah. I'm thinking that maybe Alvarez might jack one off of Severino. Possibly later on. Yeah, like later on and you know what? I for some reason I know he hasn't been playing well. And it's only going to be in that first game. I don't think they're going to hit anything against Cole. I think they're going to be low scoring. I think the first game is either going to be Alvarez or Vientos. I think Vientos is going to get a shot as a DH or something like that. I think he's going to come in, close game, something like that, and I think he might just jack a solo or something,
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I could see, maybe Lindor. I mean, he hasn't been very good, but he's still second on the team in home runs. I will say Marte is turning the corner. So I wouldn't be shocked, as we talked about earlier. I wouldn't be shocked if Marte hits one. I mean, he's batting .324 in the month of June. He's had a very good month so far, and he's kind of been one of the only guys outside of like Alvarez that has been producing so far consistently. He's gotten better. So still overall numbers on the year aren't good, but you're starting to see him get a lot better. So I could potentially see Marte if he continues to hit well. The power numbers haven't quite been there. I mean, he's only had 3 homers, so I guess when you look at a guy, he's never really been a big power guy. He only, averages, he's only going to typically in his career, he's a 10, 12 homer per year, maybe type guy at most.
So he's due.
So yeah, exactly. Yeah. He's not a big power guy, but he's had a home run so far in June. So I could see him. He's turning the corner. I could see him potentially going deep on probably Sevy. Sevy, if anything, I don't think Cole despite his history of allowing home runs, especially last year. Cole's been good as and kept them in the ballpark.
Yeah. Well, Bubbs, tell everybody where they can find you, where they want to reach you for more sports talk. You obviously have a great wealth of knowledge, and it'd be great to share that with other people. Where can they find you?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on first of all, and then yeah, I do a bunch of different stuff. I'm on Twitter at Bubbs52. You can also find me on Bleacher Report at Bubbs52 as well. I'm pretty active on both of those, posting basically just post and repost everything sports. It's really all I talk about, not much else. So that, and then for the actual content, talking stuff, I have the Bubbs on Sports podcast, which is on YouTube, just called Bubbs on Sports, and I post all four major sports, talk New York, mix in a little bit of national news as well, but primarily keep it around, New York sports, but definitely get a little bit of the national twist, as I mentioned, around there as well. Then I have the Bubbs Talking Baseball podcast on Apple Podcasts, which is a channel that I'm still, trying to grow a little bit more. Enjoy doing it. That's every Saturday and Sunday. Saturday, I talk Yankees and Mets. Sunday, I do like more of a league-wide view on things. So I kind of gear away from just the Yankees and Mets talk and talk more about just national teams, everybody else, take a look at the standings, top performances, any highlights, trades, news, et cetera, stats, all that stuff. And then I got my Jets podcast that I do, In the Trench with Gangrene, which has been really been awesome to do so far. I've really enjoyed it, and the support for that channel has been super, super cool, and it's continuing to grow at a pretty high rate. So that's been super cool to see. It's something that not even in a year has grown a lot. So that's definitely continuing to grow and continuing to expand. And that's definitely been pretty cool to see so far. I started up last August. So, we'll be able to see the growth I make too in these next 2 months, once we hit the 1 year mark. So that's been pretty cool. And that too is just all things Jets, that's all. So I'll do pregame shows on Saturday for like a Sunday game. I'll do a preview show on Saturday. Sunday after the game, I'll do a recap show during the week, during the season. I also plan on incorporating them here over the next couple of weeks. I do mailbag episodes, so you can hit me up on Twitter. I usually have a post all your questions, and I answer them usually in the middle of the week, and then cover all, sorts of news and stuff, and have guests on as well, talking all things Jets. And that channel too, I hope that, hope to pump a lot of good content out on that this year, because I think, we're going to have a lot of good to talk about this year, as opposed to, a lot of bad things to talk about. I think, it's going to be definitely an exciting year to be a Jets fan for sure.
Oh yeah, man. Dude, you you already got the voice for it, you got the knowledge for it, so that's why people are following you, man. It has nothing to do with the people that love the Jets or love the Mets or love the Yankees or love the New York. Dude, you know what you're talking about, and you know what I mean. When you have the knowledge that you have at such a young age, dude, it's gonna come so simple and so easy. This is gonna be great.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. It's definitely a lot of fun. It's been, it's cool to also interact with obviously you and all the other, content creators out there with sports and stuff. There's a lot of really good ones, especially in New York. I think, we talked about this last time we talked about, the Jets and stuff and the Yankees and all that good stuff, is like New York fans, Jets fans, Yankee fans, Mets fans, all of them, all New York fans. It's definitely the most passionate fan bases. They're love their teams. We talked about the pressure. The pressure, though, is a good thing. Like, pressure is a privilege, I guess, if they want to call it, what people like to say. So it's, just truly because of the love all of us have for our teams, and, the way we kind of act or respond to performances just shows you how much, we care. You don't get that, really anywhere else, across the country. You're not getting this, in other cities. It's mainly here in New York with all the great fans.
Yeah, man. New York's a different breed, man. That's
Yep.
never gonna be like any other city. It's the city that never sleeps.
Yep.
So,
Exactly.
but Bubbs, thanks for coming on the show and again spreading your knowledge, your wealth, and we're gonna, we'll keep doing this, man. And I'll keep in touch with you, obviously, during the Subway Series.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. Appreciate you having me on. It's had a good time, and looking forward to these next two games coming up tomorrow and then obviously Wednesday.